U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro doubled down, maybe even tripled down, on the idea of getting control over juvenile criminals in particular.
We're also looking to lower the age of criminals. What's happening is, even if you shoot someone with a gun, you go to family court where the purpose is rehabilitation. You get to go to an ice cream social and you get to go to yoga classes. That's nonsense. All of these statutes that they've passed don't allow me to incarcerate. They allow the removal or the erasure of convictions. How fair is that to a parent who wants to find out whether or not a nanny is someone who's been convicted of prior assault? How fair is that to an employer who doesn't get to understand or know who he's hiring? Everything about the D.C. Council and the laws that they've passed are liberal, they're defense-leaning, and they're not in favor of the citizens of D.C.
Republican Congressman Byron Donalds of the great state of Florida, member of the House Oversight Committee, also a candidate for Florida governor. Great to see you today. Look, this is making huge news in part because the left is so angry over this. And Jeanine Pirro there, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., laying out why this is necessary and how young some of the perpetrators are. Your take.
My take is the U.S. Attorney is absolutely correct. D.C. has a history of being substantially weak on crime. That's why the District of Columbia continues to be unsafe. Last Congress, I filed legislation, we just refiled it again, that would actually put D.C. in line with every other jurisdiction in America. What I mean by that is, in the District of Columbia, if you're 22 years old and you commit a crime, they can try you as a juvenile. No other part of America does that, but they do that in D.C. That's the kind of stuff that needs to change. With respect to what President Trump has done, it is his responsibility to take the safety and security of the nation's capital seriously. And I'm glad to see that he's dispatched National Guard to keep the streets of D.C. safe for everyone.
Look, I want to dig in a little bit deeper on this point. A crowd rental company says it's seen a massive surge in requests. The CEO has told Fox News D.C. and the inquiries just from that district are up roughly 400% compared to the same period of time in 2024. Most of the attendees are being paid or are there because it's their job to protest. That doesn't mean they don't support the cause, but it does mean that these crowds are not as organic as they appear to be on TV. Look at this. So recent protests include this one on Monday during President Trump's crime crackdown announcement. The singing, some of it rather cringy and had his name in it, you know. I want to make it clear. We don't know if these people specifically were paid or not, but that is certainly happening in many places around this issue. And against this president, it has tended to be the norm. Congressman.
We know that there's paid astroturf from the radical left. They do this all the time with a lot of their phony protests. When you talk to some of these people on the ground, they don't live in the jurisdictions. They tell you they're being paid. They're bussed in, and then when the issue's over, they leave. This is part of the astroturf of the Democratic left. We're far too familiar. At the end of the day, what is most important is that the security of Washington, D.C. is paramount. And if you're a Washingtonian living in Washington, D.C., you know that the streets are not safe. Members of Congress, Angie Craig, Henry Cuellar was held up at gunpoint and carjacked in Washington, D.C. If it happens to members of Congress, it happens to regular citizens as well. D.C. City Council has not prioritized safety and security. They have prioritized woke criminal justice reform policies that simply do not work, never have worked. And that's why President Trump is doing the right thing. He's stepping up and making sure that the federal seat, that is the Washington, D.C., that's what it is, the federal enclave, that the federal enclave is safe for all Americans.
You know, you pointed out, and the history of D.C. in particular, and I have to say this, I said this yesterday when we saw again Muriel Bowser, the mayor, Muriel Bowser, standing up there with Pat Smith, who is the chief of police of MPD, Metro Police. And they were talking about having just met with the AG Pam Bondi and how they want to work with, you know, the federal government and all of this. Yeah, this is politics, too. I mean, they had an opportunity to ask for help. They had an opportunity to make some change and to attack this in a different way. And it was by choice that they didn't. So how much do you trust that the cooperation is going to be sustainable from the left?
To be honest, I don't trust that they're going to want to actually cooperate with President Trump, which is why we have to continue to make light of this issue and make sure it's aware for everybody. This is similar to what happened at George Washington University when Muriel Bowser would not send in the Metropolitan Police Department to arrest the people trespassing on that university's campus until the Oversight Committee, the committee I sit on, subpoenaed her testimony in Congress. And the second we did that, all of a sudden, MPD was allowed to make the arrest. We have to make sure that we shine light on this. We have to keep it a focus of not just the people in Washington, but the American people. And that is the true way that you have accountability in this matter.
Look, I want to pop this up on the screen. About 400 D.C. National Guard troops have now reported for duty in the nation's capital. We expect that to reach that 800 point by the end of the week. The president was serious, and this is moving forward. I wanted to get that fact in. Congressman Donalds, it's always great to have you in focus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.